Hello, my name is Des, and I am the owner and operator of Haunted Traverse Tour Company in beautiful downtown Traverse City. You may see me from time to time walking the streets in the summer, or as my family says, work in the streets. They mean it in a particular way. That's not the way I do it. No, no, not at all. I do tours. I do tours in downtown Traverse City. I walk the streets with beautiful people following along behind me, showing off beautiful Traverse City. It's not hard. Traverse City is a very stunning place. So that's not a hard job to have. It's a quite easy job to show off beautiful Traverse City. So again, my name is Des. I do the Haunted Traverse Tour Company. I am coming to you from my room in my house, and I am not working the streets of beautiful downtown Traverse City doing my tours. I do a tour in downtown Traverse City called the Historical Ghost Lantern Tour. So essentially, it's a ghost tour where I speak about all of the incredible hauntings that are unfolding in those beautiful old structures in downtown Traverse City. And some of them are new structures as well. I don't think ghosts have any kind of pickiness when it comes to old or new structures. I don't think so. Leave a comment if you disagree with me below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. But again, my name is Des, and I do the Haunted Traverse Tour Company 99% of the time. I do have a wonderful friend. Her name's Clara. She'll help me out with a tour in October when I get really busy. But yeah, for the most part, the steampunk girl that you see walking through downtown Traverse City rocking the lantern, that's me. So hello. My name's Des again. So did I mention my name's Des? My name's Des. So, guys, I don't know if you've heard about this, but there's this COVID-19 pandemic that is unfolding throughout the world, and it's especially hitting hard here in the United States right now. So, I'm trying to do my part, keep everyone safe, which means I am not doing my tours right now. And believe it or not, it's not about the money. You know what? I'll get through it. Money is money, it is what it is. But I am so sad. I miss my tours so much. I miss being out on the streets. I miss seeing my locals and my guests from out of town alike come and hang out with me for a couple hours on an evening walk through downtown Traverse City. I miss the smells. I miss the sounds. I miss the vendors. I miss it so much. And so instead of sitting here missing, I decided to do something proactive. Now, this medium, this video, the coming over the airwaves of the internet, it's not really my forte. I'm used to standing in front of people, seeing them smile, seeing that engagement back and forth, conversing with them, and really just growing this intimate conversation with them as I'm doing my tour. No two tours that I do are alike. Everyone is unique. I couldn't tell you my favorite night of doing a tour. I really couldn't. All my groups are so different and interesting. And I have to tell you this on a side note, and I'm going to do a lot of side notes here on this video, is that well done, Traverse City. Can I just give you some claps? Because I get to meet people that come from all over the world, all over the United States, and they come here to Traverse City. They don't go to Orlando, they don't go to Walt Disney, they don't go to New York City, they don't go to Chicago, they don't go to Los Angeles. They come here to Traverse City, and I've never heard anyone complain about having a bad vacation here. The people that I meet from out of town are so unique, they're so down to earth, they're so wonderful, nice, charming, affable, just incredible people that I get to meet. I feel so blessed. It kind of brings a tear to my eye how blessed I am getting to meet all of these incredible people. So I know we're all stuck in our houses for now, keeping everyone safe, keeping our loved ones safe. And I just want to give a shout out to everyone out there. Be safe. I'm thinking of you, and I have a couple mottos that I live by. It is what it is. This too shall pass. And I know we're probably hurting financially right now, but money is just money. And freedom will come again. And nothing takes away freedom like death. So I'd rather stay alive and help other people stay alive by staying indoors right now, by forsaking my tours and giving up this incredible joy that I have in my life, because it's a temporary loss and sacrifice for the greater good of keeping everyone's grandmothers and grandfathers and loved ones that may have compromised immune systems out there safe. So for everyone out there in the digital world listening to this over the internet or watching this video, Stay safe. I'm thinking about you. You are in my thoughts, and I'm sending out good vibes to you right now. Can you feel them? Can you feel the good vibes coming your way? All right, so I digress. I'm going to say that a lot, and I'm going to get off topic a lot here. So go ahead, take a shot, or jump up and down and do 10 jumping jacks if you're looking to stay healthy, because I will get off from topic from time to time. But because I can't do my tours, what I'm hoping to do is these videos where I reach out to everyone out there on the internet and make those wonderful connections. So go ahead, leave some comments in the comments below. Give me a shout out. I would love to make those connections with you, and hopefully we can meet in person soon. But until then, I hope you enjoyed this video series that I put together. So again, my name is Des. I do Haunted Traverse Tour Company. I do the Downtown Traverse City Historical Ghost Lantern Tour, which is a ghost tour through downtown Traverse City where I touch on all the hauntings that are unfolding. If you have a really cool haunting that's happening in Traverse City or a really neat ghost story, I'd love to hear from it. I'd love to hear from you about it. So leave a comment below as well, or reach out to me. Again, love to hear from you. Or if you have a really cool, interesting tidbit of history of Traverse City, some local charm, as I like to look at it and call it, reach out to me as well. I'm always looking for really cool historical tidbits about TC. We are such a unique community, guys. Stay strong. We're going to be safe out there, and we will get through this, because that's just what we do. We're Traverse City. We can handle snowstorms in May. Fingers crossed that that doesn't happen this year, because I'm really enjoying the sun, and we'll get through this together. All right, so I'm doing this video series because I can't do my tours, and I wanted to touch on a particular location. Now, again, this isn't my medium, guys. I would prefer to talk person to person, so I'm going to try to do my best. My first video, so fingers crossed that all works out well. And just a human being. I make mistakes. So correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, and I'll try to correct them as well on here as I go along also. So Haunted Traverse Tour Company, I'm going to be touching on the Front Street House location. Does that sound familiar? Does everyone know where the Front Street House is? For my locals out there, you probably don't, because the Front Street House is no longer in existence. That's right, it got eradicated by a huge fire, probably the biggest fire that Traverse City had to endure in its history. Now, when I say history, I'm touching on those white settlers that came here in the mid-1800s, around 1848, 1849 they came here. And, they were loggers. Our Captain Boardman purchased what is downtown Traverse City and about 200 acres of it. And so I'm going to be touching on that history to the present. And so within about 5 decades of our establishment of Traverse City, we have this beautiful Front Street house that's going to come into existence. Now let me see if I can't pull up that picture for you. I know what you're thinking, Daz, this isn't a picture. It's actually a drawing, a rendering. And you're absolutely right. Your eyes are not mistaken. Because the Front Street house has no actual known image of it. So this is actually a drawing, a rendering of what the Front Street house was. So back in the day, in the late 1800s, nobody had the presence of mind to capture a photo of the Front Street house. Nobody realized that we were going to be losing her in 1896. So when we lost her to a fire, we didn't have any pictures. So on a side note, I told you this was going to happen. For everyone out there walking around with an iPhone, for everyone out there walking around with a Galaxy, or whatever kind of fancy, expensive phone that you have, I know it's got a camera phone on it. And go ahead, if you come across something unique, something special, something rare, or something that's just day to day, every day, go ahead, take that picture, capture that moment, capture that human being doing that just day in, day out task, because that is history in the making. And you, my fellow listeners, my fellow viewers, are historians in the making if you capture those moments. And future generations are going to thank you, because you never know when a tornado is going to sweep through our community. You never know when a fire is going to take over a particular building and devastate it forever, and we're going to have to knock down what remains of it. And so by capturing these incredible, beautiful buildings that we have now in our lives around us, we all can be future historians, if that makes sense. So side note ended. Let's get on with the Front Street house. She's a beautiful 3-story wooden structure, as you can see. 1, 2, 3. Beautiful flag, it looks like, at the top of her. And then right here on the first level, typical city creation of buildings in the downtown areas, you're going to have your storefronts. Somewhere back in the depths there is going to be a drugstore. And it's actually believed that a fire actually broke out in that drugstore in the early morning of November 11th, 1896. Now, when it broke out, it was after midnight, probably more around the 1 a.m. hour, that this fire is going to break out. And again, this is going to be probably the biggest fire that downtown Traverse City is going to endure. It's going to wipe out most of the 200 block. It's going to take out about 14 stores by the time that this blaze is battled and under control and we stop it. So this is a huge, huge fire, and it's, of course, going to completely take out this beautiful Front Street house as well. Now, back in the day, in the 1800s, when we came here, we had a huge pine forest, so we built everything, all of our buildings, out of mud. No, I'm kidding. We built it out of wood, and wood is very flammable. And so when you have wooden structure next to wooden structure next to wooden structure, now you can see how we're going to lose 14 stores in total. And of course, we have storefront as well. So we have multiple stores in these buildings also. So I touched on Front Street House a little bit, but I actually want to take you to a different building that is going to play a key part on the morning of November 11th, 1896. And that is the Cass Street Fire Station. There she is. Can you see her? She's right here. Here are those arched doorways. And this is where the horses that are pulling the water wagons are going to erupt from. You can see that there's this beautiful tower right here with the bell that's going to ring the alarm. Probably a watchtower up there as well, keeping an eye out for any kind of smoke in the horizon. And this is the Cass Street Fire Station. So this is where on the morning of November 11th, 1896, our Fire Chief Dupree is going to be standing outside, probably smoking a cigar, and he is going to look up to the northeast and see a beautiful, soft, yellow, flickering light bouncing off of the snow, probably bouncing off the clouds in the sky, and realize exactly what that sign is, and turn to call his men to action, call his firemen to action. What's really impressive about these firemen is that in less than 4 minutes, they can be out the door. So think about this. They have to fuel up the broiler. The broiler is steam powered, so they have to enter the fuel into the engine, the broiler, and get it burning. And then they have to harness the horses to the wagon so that they can pull the Queen City water wagon to the location of the blaze. And they have to gear up, and they can do this all in 4 minutes or less. So these guys were well trained. And let me just give you a shot of what the Queen City water wagon looked like a little bit closer. Now this is up north. It's actually in a parade. I think this is in Petoskey or Charlevoix. If you know which location, give me a comment in the comments below and let me know. But yeah, they're up there doing a parade. Here's the Queen City. Here are the horses pulling her. And just a closer look at her. Interesting enough, I was reading that back in the day, the Queen City had only been with us for about a year when the Front Street House fire is going to erupt and take out a lot of the 200 block. She'd only been with us about a year. And so people were really proud that we had this technology. It was the most advanced technology back in the day for fighting a blaze. And somebody commented that we had the most advanced technology north of Grand Rapids. So Traverse City, we were really proud that we had the Queen City. To my locals and my visitors alike, if you do come up and you want to see a closer look at the Queen City, check her out. From time to time, they put her out front of the fire station number 1 on Front Street. That's just west of downtown Traverse City. And you can see the Queen City still out there from time to time out front. So we still have her. We're really proud of her still, even though she's a little bit of an antique now and a lawn ornament. Back in the day, she helped, and she was an intricate part of battling this blaze and keeping it as under control as we could that night. So going back, here's the Cass Street Fire Station. And again, here's the tower. So Do you guys can you place where the Cass Street Fire Station is? Kind of have that in your mind? Maybe this will help. Here's a little bit more of a modern look. Obviously, the paint job is a little bit different in present time, but right over here is the omelet shop, which is haunted. Dun, dun, dun. And then over here, you have State Street, and then over here is Front Street. So in between State Street and Front Street on Cass Street is our beautiful fire station, former site of our fire station. And then if you'll notice up here, you can just see it peeking up at the top. That tower has been long gone. It's no longer there, but the archway doors are still there where the horses would have erupted out. Taken a hard left, gone down Cass Street, taken a hard right to go down Front Street to fight the blaze at the Front Street house location. So when they arrived, this is actually a picture of the Front Street house location with the smoke, as you can see, billowing out. And this is a black and white picture back in the day, so the detail isn't all there, guys, but you can get the impression that this was a huge blaze, that it was erupting. All of that wood and tinder was just going to go up in smoke. And this is what our firemen were arriving on scene to. And they're going to witness 30 souls scrambling out windows, outdoors to save their lives. Some men are going to be like Spider-Man. They're going to start on the 3rd story, and they're going to scramble down to the 2nd story, and then scramble down to the 1st story outside of the building to escape the blaze. There's stories of a little girl being folded up in a ball, thrown off the top of the roof, and the firemen have to catch her. So these 30 souls escaped this blaze. That is not an understatement or overstatement, I guess. Excuse me. So we are going to have a casualty, unfortunately. His name was Ed Newberry. He was a Swedish porter in the Front Street house. And 2 souls are going to be lost that night because Ed Newberry is actually going to lose his puppy as well. So when the firefighters actually do rush into that building, they discover Ed Newberry's body succumb to the blaze, probably smoke asphyxiation, and his puppy is going to be lying next to him. So we did have some casualties that night, but overall, not a bad night considering that it could have been a lot worse. We saved 30 souls that night as well. Now, Traverse City, I don't know if you've noticed this or not, but we're a little bit of in a bowl. So we've got the hillsides that surround all of TC. So a lot of people are up on those hillsides early morning looking at this huge blaze unfolding in downtown Traverse City. So they're all going to scramble down to TC. And a lot of these shops that are surrounding our Front Street house over here and across the street, they're going to start getting all of that merchandise away from the blaze, because if the building does get taken into fire, does catch fire, sorry, they're going to have to get all that merchandise out. So a lot of brave souls are coming in to help battle and get the merchandise away, so at least some of the stock can be saved, which is people's livelihoods back in the day. So it makes sense. So again, a lot of people are battling the Front Street Hotel blaze in one way or another. Now it's going to sweep east to west. So right here is the Front Street house location, and then as you can see, the flames just start going this way. And it could have been a lot worse. A lot of this downtown Traverse City area could have been eradicated as well, if not for one thing. There was a really strong southwest gale, so coming from this way, the wind was just blowing this way, so the flames were actually going and skewed off to the north, off to the east. And so that saved a lot of buildings, because as you can see, open street here, open street over here, and we were able to stop a lot of those flames from catching other wooden structures on fire. Now, the opposite side of the street didn't go unscathed. Across the street, this is kind of a view from Park Street, on the east side of Park Street. On the opposite side of the street, here is where, in modern times, you'd have Forefront Credit Union, you'd have the Grand Traverse Pie Company, you'd have Horizon Bookstore, you'd have the State Theater, and then right here is the restaurant Amical. And this building, the structure is no longer because, dun dun dun, yep, you guessed it, we lost it to fire. And so this is no longer, so this is Amical, the new structure there is Amical, but right now that is the Steinberg Opera House. Now, Mr. Steinberg is actually going to create the State Theater, which back in the day was known as the Lyric Theater. But for now, a lot of the storefront is going to incur damage from the flames. This is how huge the flames were that night. They were actually leaping across the street and devastating the storefront properties over here also. And these tiny little things right here are the people. So you can just see the massive devastation that happened. It literally leveled this part of the 200 block on Front Street. And then here's another look at it from the northeast side. And as you can see, these are wooden. This is the wooden road, and you have your planked sidewalks right here, also to keep everyone out of the mud. And then over here is another view I want to give you from the south side. So here's the Steinberg Opera House right here. And as you can see, the south side, you've just got a little bit of the wooden board sticking up, and then everything else is just leveled and devastated. I do touch on my tour that the only thing left behind are the safe deposit boxes. You see them? And that's it. That's the only thing that was able to retain itself after the heat of that blaze. So, so have you guys put, for my locals out there, you've probably put to the site, or I'm sorry, let me say this a different way. How do I say this? You probably know where this site is now, right? It's probably familiar to you. Does this look familiar? So this is Sorellini's. So the current site is going to be the Chase Bank building, which is off here to the left. And then you've got Sorellina, Callie's, Milk and Honey, Flea, Georgina's, and then just going down the way. And then this is the whole area that was absolutely devastated by that fire on November 11th, 1896. I've never been to Sorellina's. It always looks good when I'm walking by here doing my tour. It's the hardest thing because you usually don't like to eat before the tour. So I'm usually hungry and I'm looking at all this delicious food and it makes my mouth water just thinking about it. So hopefully I can make it out to Sorellina's and grab a bite to eat after this pandemic is over. So interesting enough, when I was a little girl, this actually wasn't a building. This was actually an open space. It was a green space in downtown Traverse City. And there were these raised gardens with trees in the center of them. And I remember sitting there waiting for my mom to get done with business that she had in downtown Traverse City. And I would listen to people play violin, play their guitar, even back then in Traverse City in the 80s and the early 90s. And nowadays, though, if you swing around on the Park Street side of the Chase Bank, you'll actually see the street piano. So hopefully this is familiar to my locals as well. Look at those three little girls playing. Sometimes I go down to downtown Traverse City. I like to go down early and sit at the corner of Front Street and Park. People watch, most part, prior to my tour starting. But I really like to just come down here and listen to the people playing on the piano. There's this wonderful elderly woman. She can play songs from heart, from memory, and she'll just play song after song after song on that piano. She's incredibly gifted, incredibly talented, and I really get a lot of joy out of listening to her play. And of course, nowadays, you have incredible musicians that scatter all through downtown Traverse City playing their guitars, playing their violins. So hopefully when the pandemic's over, we'll all be able to enjoy those beautiful downtown Traverse City moments again. So with that, hopefully I've touched on a little bit more and gone into a little bit more depth on the Front Street House fire and the Cass Street Fire Station that was involved in battling that place. And I do want to give a shout out. I want to give a thank you to the Herald. Back in the day, that was the Traverse City newspaper. She's eventually going to evolve into the Eagle and then the Record Eagle, I believe. And then also our Traverse City Area Historical Society history collection. Remember that side note I told you guys about capturing photos, capturing moments. And a pandemic is actually unfolding around us. Back in the early 1900s, 1918 to 1920, we had another pandemic that unfolded right here in Traverse City also, along with other locations in the United States. It was the Spanish flu pandemic. Hopefully that sounds familiar to my historians alike, but if you're not familiar with that, back in the early 1900s when that pandemic unfolded right here in Traverse City, it was absolutely devastating. We had a huge loss of life as well because of it. And our patients were actually put up at was once called the Northern Michigan Asylum, which is now called the Grand Traverse Commons. So this is not our first pandemic that we have gone through in Traverse City. We lived through it then, and we'll live through it now. So keep your head up there. But for the Traverse City Area Historical Society, they are looking for pictures. They are looking for pictures of the current pandemic and how Traverse City is responding to it. So if you have really cool pictures that you're capturing about the empty streets or an interesting building that is empty or what people are doing to get through this pandemic. This is history in the making. 100 years from now, people are going to be looking back at this moment going, what was it like? And you have the opportunity to capture those moments right now for future use and benefit of the next generations. So hopefully if you do capture a really cool picture, send it to the Traverse Area Historical Society. They're looking for really neat pandemic pictures that are unfolding right here in Traverse City today. So again, my name is Des. I do the Haunted Traverse Tour Company. Hopefully we'll be walking the streets again soon, enjoying all of the delicious flavors that Traverse City has to offer in one way or another. And the historical ghost lantern tour that I do in downtown Traverse City, if you get a chance, come on out when I do open back up. You'll hear a lot of the history of Traverse City, which I do have locals that do come on my tour and they go, I didn't know that about Traverse City. And my eyes just light up and this joy just fills my heart because I feel like I am helping to secure this legacy of this beautiful, beautiful community that we have. And then, of course, I touch on some really fun hauntings that are unfolding in downtown Traverse City as well. If you do have some really cool stories, some stories about the flavor of people that have gone before us and lived here in Traverse City, I would love to hear those stories. Please feel free to comment or direct message me. I would love to hear them. And then, of course, if you have a really cool ghost story about Traverse City, I'm game. I'm game. I'll listen. I love a good ghost story. So send it my way as well. I hope to hear from you soon. And I hope to produce my next video shortly. So until then, stay safe out there. And thank you for watching. Bye now.